Right, so let's quickly see if we can do this challenge. So for this challenge, we will start with the recycler view. So I want to first start with, because I'm going to go to a new, let's have a click on this button. I need to update that book and come back and then show the new book here. So for that, I'm going to use the application class again, and the application class will help me to keep on adding. So what I'm going to do first is to add the application class. I'm going to go into my project folder there, new Java class, right click new Java class, and let's call this application class and say OK. Now for the application class, it must say extends application again. If you remember from the previous videos, so it extends application. That makes it an application class, not necessarily this application's application class, unless you go to your manifest and add the name property there. And if you start typing name there, you'll see that application class will pop up. And now this application class is the one class that will start right at the start and end right at the end of your application. Now in this, we're going to say generate, right click generate, override methods, and we want to use the onCreate method. So I'm going to create an array list there now, but before we do the array list, we firstly need a custom class that will represent every element inside of my recycler view. So I'm going to right click and say new Java class again, and let's name this class book. Now for every book object that we're going to create there, we will have a private string title, we will have a private string author, and we'll have a private string genre. Now for the rest, we can just go and generate. So I'm going to right click then, click on generate. Let's do the constructor first, select all three, say OK. That's the title, the author, and the genre. Then also we need the getters and the setters. So you're going to say generate getters and setters and select all three of them. Right, so there's our book class then, from which we can create book objects. Okay, so let's go back to the application class then, and I'm going to create an array list here. The array list will be of this type, the book, and let's call it books. And now I'm just going to copy or just going to paste here, and you can write your own books here. So we've got the books equals new array list, but now for this books to be available everywhere, we need to make this public and static. So we're going to say public static array list books will hold book objects. There we initialize it, and then we add new book objects. So you remember for our book class, we will accept a title, an author, and then the genre. So there's the title, the author, and the genre. So I'm creating new objects. There's the new object inside of my books array list and adding them to it. So these will be then my books that I'm going to create or use inside of my recycler view. So as soon as my application then starts, I will have access to this books array list, and I can add or delete data directly from here. Right, so let's quickly look at that application again. So you'll see that the next part we'll need to go and do, we already have the custom class. So step number 2 is to go and create this layout for every item inside of my recycler view. So now how do we do that again? So we're going to go into the resources folder, and we're going to create a new layout. So you're going to right click on your layout folder, you're going to say new layout resource file. Now I'm going to use this as a linear layout, and I'm going to call this row underscore layout, and then just say OK. Right, and now we can actually start to add components to the screen now, but we need to use that pictures that we had previously. So make sure that you go to the previous video again, and just make sure to take that zip file, and then we open up the zip file, copy those pictures, and we're going to paste them now in the drawable folder. Right, so we're going to right click there, we're going to say new, sorry, not new, just paste it in the drawable folder and say OK. Right, so under your drawable folder, you should have drama, romance, and sci-fi. So in the previous video, I show you what the link is and where you can go and download that. So make sure you go and download those 3 pictures. Now the next things that we need will be the recycler view. We want to actually start with a card view here. So the card view you'll get under containers. There's the card view, and you can just click on next to that download button there and say, please add that for me. So it will start adding that into your Gradle or build.gradle file, and then it will start syncing your project again. Now another one that we also need there will be if you go to Common RecyclerView, click on that one also and say OK, so that we also get the library for the RecyclerView. Right, so now we're ready to actually start creating the layout here. Okay, so what we want to do first is to go into, I'm going to go into the text part and just make sure that the orientation is vertical. And what I want to use now is the card view. So if this is not appearing right now, you can just go and make sure that in your Gradle build, just open up this, your Gradle scripts, build.gradle, the one that says module app, these two lines of implementations has now been added. So if you do not have them, you can manually type them quickly. Just make sure that the version that you have there for your app compat must also be the same for your card view as well as for your recycler view. So you can type mine there, just make sure about your version if it's not appearing. Right, so let's go back. Okay, so what we want to start off with here is then the card view. So I'm going to start with the card view, picks it up. The width will match the parent, the height will wrap the content, and we'll add some extra information there. So I'm going to quickly go to the main activities XML file and just take this line or namespace declaration. I'm going to copy it, go back to my row layout, and I want this for the card view. Okay, but now I'm going to change app there to card underscore view. And now we can add all the card view properties. So I'm going to say card view. I want the background color there to be the card light background. Let's go to card view again. The corner radius, let's make it 5 dp. Let's go to the card elevation, also 5 dp. Let's look at use compat padding to false. Just see if there's anything else. Max elevation, no. For the rest we are fine. And then we can just add a margin there, and I'm going to set the margin as a 5 dp. Right, so our card view is fine, but at this stage you won't see it because there's nothing inside of your card view. So what we want to do next is now to place some items inside of the card view. So look at what we have here. You can see that we show the picture first, and then, well, so basically this is in a linear layout that is horizontal, and in that horizontal linear layout we've got a picture first, and then we have another linear layout that is vertical next to it. So let's see if we can quickly do that. So in design, I'm going to go to layouts, and I'm going to use the horizontal linear layout as my root element inside of the card view. Now inside of the card view then, there's your horizontal linear layout. And what we want to do now is to add to this horizontal linear layout. So what do we want to add? So firstly, what we want to add is the picture. So let's just go to common then, and we're going to take the image view there, drag in the image view in the horizontal linear layout, and then just wait for this loading to be done, and then we can go and select it from the project. Click on project, click on sci-fi. Let's just take the sci-fi picture there. Now it's very, very big, so let's maybe make that one 50 by 50. Okay, so that could be a bit better. Let's leave it at 50 by 50. Now next to that we want to have another layout, and this one must be now a vertical linear layout, and then for that vertical linear layout we'll have two text views. So I'm going to drag in one text view, drag in another text view, and now you can see the layout is not that nice. So what we're going to do quickly, you'll see that this linear layout that's horizontal has got an image view and a linear layout, and they've got weight, the weight property now. And now the weight property doesn't work nicely unless you set one of the fields to 0, either the width or the height. So in this linear layout now that's horizontal, there's an image view and a linear layout, and I want you to just remove the weight properties there. So I'm going to remove the weight properties, go back to design, and it looks already a lot better. Okay, so what we want to do now is to give this picture some margins there. So I'm going to say at the bottom, let's give it a 5 margin. On the start, a 5 margin, which is on the left hand side, and the top also a 5 margin. Right, that looks better. Now on the vertical linear layout, or let's maybe go to the first text view first. Go down to the bottom. We set the style to bold. We set the size instead of 18. Let's make it 18. That should be fine, and then we can move it a bit from the top. So let's go to the margin at the top. Let's take a 5 there. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Now on the whole vertical linear layout, I'm going to add a left margin there, or a start margin of 5 as well. And now you can see, well, it looks okay. Right, so let's give them names quickly. For this image view, I'm going to say IV genre. For the text view, I will say TV title. And for this one, it will be TV author. Now you'll see this warning there that's got a rendering problem with the card view style, so don't worry too much about that. This won't affect how your app runs at all. Right, so we are done then with the custom layout file. So what have we done so far? We've done the custom class, we've added an array list in the application class, and we've created, or we pasted all the pictures, and in the layout file folder, we created a file called row layout that is now representing every item in your RecyclerView. So now the next step is to go to the adapter class, or to create an adapter class that will now put these two things together. So I'm going to quickly close down most of these. We don't have that much windows open there, and maybe just also close down all of these. So what we want to go into now is into your Java folder, into your package. You're going to right click again and say new Java class. So the class that we want to have here now is the adapter class. So let's call this one, because we are working with books, we can call this one book adapter. Say OK. Then let's open it up a bit. And this class will say extends RecyclerView, and you won't see RecyclerView unless you've added it in your Gradle script. So if this is not appearing, it means that in your Gradle script, your build.gradle, that RecyclerView library has not been implemented. So you're going to say RecyclerView.adapter, right? And then just hover over it or click on it, Alt-Enter, implement methods, select all three methods. So now the next thing is to go and create our array list at the top. So I'm going to use an array list, and this array list will be of type book, and I'm going to call this, let's call it books as well. Alt-Enter to get your import statement there. Right, so we've got the array list books there. So what we need next is the public constructor. So it's the book adapter. What I normally pass in here will be the context. So I'm going to say context, and then we'll need an array list to set to this adapter. So I'm going to pass in a book array list. Let's call it list. And then we'll set our books equal to this list that was passed in. Right, so while we're busy here, let's just quickly do the interface also that will help us with the click event. So let's create a public interface, and let's call it item click like in all the other videos. And we're going to have a void on item click there, and we're going to pass in the index there. So I'm going to say int index. So that's what we want from the item clicked. And then we'll create a reference variable here of that type. Let's call this one activity. And if you remember from the previous videos, this activity variable we want to ultimately link back to your main activity. So in the main activity, we're going to say there implements item clicked, and then Alt-Enter on that error, and it will implement that method for you. So we need that on item clicked. Right, so now in order to link up the activity, we will go here and say activity equals converted to item clicked, and have the context there. So the context will ultimately be passed in as the main activity. So we're linking up that main activity. Converting it to item clicked, is it possible? Yes, because we have implemented that interface, and then we have a link to the activity by using this variable. So this is the constructor then. It sets up the link to the activity, and it sets up the link to the list that will be passed in, which will ultimately be the application classes list. All right, so because we're going to use these also just as part of this class, we can make them private. Okay, so let's go and do now the custom class that we want to have inside of this one. So we're going to say public class Viewholder, and we're going to say extends RecyclerView.Viewholder. So ultimately what we want to do is to override this one, the RecyclerView Viewholder that's been returned here and the one that's been accepted there. So we are basically creating our own Viewholder class. Now just Alt-Enter on that error, and you're going to say create constructor matching super. And now what we want to do in this Viewholder is now to get hold of all of these components in our row layout. So if you remember here, we have an image view, and it's called IV genre. So let's start with that one. So we're going to have image view, IV genre. Then let's go back. We've got two text views, TV title and TV author. Text view, TV title, and TV author. Now inside of this Viewholder constructor, this item view, after we're done with this video, this method, this item view will be linked to row layout. So we'll basically go and say here, IV genre equals, now instead of just saying find view by ID, we're going to refer to item view, which will ultimately refer to row layout, dot find the view by its ID, and on that layout, we've got an ID called IV genre. So now we're linking to that row layout.xml file. Now the next one, TV title, same thing, equals item view dot find the view by its ID, r.id.tv title, and then we also have TV author equals item view dot find the view by its ID, r.id.tv author. Now if you look at what we've got in this recycler view, when I click something here, nothing happens. So we're not really going to make use of the click event here, but I want to show you that as well. So if you wanted to go to a different activity when you click on one of these items, you need to implement the following, but it's not needed for this example. So you're going to say ItemView.set on click listener, new on click listener. So that when you click, then you can do whatever you want right in here. Or you can create a method on the other side, and that's actually what we're going to do there. This method will then be what happens when you click. So I'm going to implement that, although it's not needed for this example. So we've got our IV genre, TV title, TV author, all of them linked up. And now we can go to the next method. Now before we go to the next method, we want to change the view holder of this custom adapter class of ours to this view holder. So we're going to go to the top there and just type in view holder there, and then make sure it is not the RecyclerView's view holder, but it's the book adapter one. Now let's just go down for that error. We're going to change this RecyclerView there to book adapter, and you're going to change that RecyclerView there to book adapter. And then there should not be any errors anymore. Okay, so now in this method, you will see that this method returns back a view holder. So the view holder constructor accepts a view. So let's create that view quickly. So we're going to say view equals layout inflator dot from. And now if you remember from the previous videos, it's this view group dot get context. Then move your cursor outside. You're going to say dot inflate, and we're going to go to r dot layout dot row layout. So basically we're connecting now to this row layout. That's the view variable. Second argument there is the view group. Third argument is false, do not attach it to the root. Okay, so now this view object that we have here will be a direct link to row layout. And that's what we want to pass into this view holder constructor there so that we can get these items connected. So I'm going to say return there. Now you can see we should return a view holder of type book adapter, which means we're going to say new view holder, and you can see it's of the book adapter there, and then we just pass in this view. So this view then there will become the one that we pass in there, and that's the one that we can link up to the components. Right, so now in my onBind view holder, let's just do this one quickly. The get item count will be the one that was passed in. This list will be set to books. So the amount of objects there will be books.size. So that's the amount of objects that we want to set as items in the list view or in the recycler view. So now this onBind view holder will run the exact same time that you indicate your size here. and where it is, starting from 0 up until the size, will be at index value I. So what we want to do here is to get hold of this Viewholder, which is ultimately the one that was passed in there. So it is Viewholder.ItemView, which means we are now working with the row layout. There we're going to set the tag. And this is also only if you want to go and work with the click event later on. And the tag will be books.getI, where we are currently at in the index value there. Okay. Then we want to get hold of all of these components to set them. So I'm going to go to Viewholder again. Let's start with the text views. Title, TV title, .set text. And now the books array that was passed in. Go to the specific object, which is getI, and get the title. And then we set the title. Then do the same for TV author. We set the text. Will be books.getI.getAuthor. But now for the genre, the picture is a bit different. We need to first check. If books.getI.getGenre. Now, you will remember in our application class, we set the genres as sci-fi, drama, and romance. So it must be one of those three, sci-fi, drama, or romance. So if we go back there, I'm going to say .equals. Let's try the first one, sci-fi. Just make sure that I spelled it exactly the same way. Sci-fi, yes. Okay. So if it's sci-fi, we will go to IVGenre. Well, IVGenre need to go to Viewholder.IVGenre. And we're going to set the image resource to r.drawable.sci-fi. Right, so now I'm just going to copy this if statement. There need to be 3 different options. So the else there, paste the if. If it is drama then we're going to use, instead of sci-fi there, we're going to use drama. And then the last else there, let me just paste that, replace that with an else, will be the romance. So now if it's sci-fi, the picture will be set to sci-fi. If it's drama, it will be set to drama. Else, which is romance, will be set to romance. Right, and that is then it for this custom adapter class. So I think I'm going to stop the video here. So what we've done now is to create the application class. We've created the row layout. We've created the book class. We've created the book adapter class that puts everything together now. And now our next step will be to go and create the RecyclerView in the main activity and do the rest of the activity. So we'll come back now. After this video, we'll do the next one.